in the advent of an election, who goes on the news shows and who is getting their contributions from their executives. This is a real serious matter. So
Congressmember Kucinich, had you understood you would be included in this debate, what was promised last week?
I was, of course, it was my understanding I was going to be included in the debate. And here's,
they
Amy,
said the top four candidates. Is that what they said last week? And then Richardson pulled out.
Yeah, that's right.
And so you then became number 4.
I imagine if Richardson hadn't pulled out and had been in 4th place, this wouldn't have been an issue. There's an underlying question here as well, and that is that what right does the media have to establish the criteria as to who should be able to be in a debate in the first place, especially when they have corporate interests that could be affected by various candidates or appreciated by various candidates. So this is a profound issue of democratic governance, of our the integrity of our presidential selection process, and goes to the heart of the need for real reforms in the media. We're just pulling up right now.
We're going to go to a break. Then we're going to go to break. Congressmember Kucinich will take his seat. Well, in a sense, at that debate last night in Las Vegas. When we come back from break, we're going to play excerpts of the MSNBC debate and hear what Dennis Kucinich has to say, how he answers the questions as well. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report, as we break the sound barrier. Stay with us.
What if I made a list of everything I thought was wrong? It wouldn't fit in my fist, and I'm afraid it wouldn't fit in this song. And what would you do if I sent my long list of gripes to you? Would you throw them away, or would you save them up for that special day when every couple of years we get the chance to participate in this pacifying dance? Hold your nose and vote. Now what if you got to choose which one of your hands you were gonna lose? And what if you had a say in which one of your eyes you were gonna have to give away? Then you might start to see the level of hypocrisy in what they keep selling me as a two-party democracy, where every couple of years they give us the chance to participate in this pacifying dance. Hold your nose and vote, yeah. Hold your nose and vote, yeah. Keep that bile down in your throat as you hold your nose and now, if you want parades, we got parades. We got parades all day. And if you want TV, we got more shows than you could ever bear to see. But if you want what's right,
Hold Your Nose and Vote by Andres Jones here on Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. We are broadcasting on over 650 stations around the country and the world, on Pacifica and NPR stations, low-power FM, and college and community stations, on public access TV and PBS TV stations, and both TV satellite networks, Dish Network Channel 9415, Free Speech TV, 9410 Link TV, and on DirecTV Channel 375. And we're video and audio podcasting at democracynow.org. Our headlines also available in Spanish in audio and transcript form for any radio station to take. As we turn now to the Las Vegas debate on MSNBC. The debate moderator, Brian Williams, the anchor and managing editor of NBC Nightly News.
Citigroup and Merrill Lynch have both gone overseas, as some put it, hat in hand, looking for $20 billion in investment to stay afloat from, among other things, the government of Singapore, Korea, Japan, and the Saudi Prince Alawid, the man Rudolph Giuliani turned his money back after 9/11. This strikes a lot of Americans as just plain wrong. At the end of our report, we said this may end up in Congress. What can be done, and does it strike you as fundamentally wrong that much foreign ownership of these American flagship brands?
Brian, I'm very concerned about this. You know, about a month and a half or so ago, I raised this concern because these are called sovereign wealth funds. They are huge pools of money, largely because of oil and economic growth in Asia. And these funds are controlled often by governmental entities or individuals who are closely connected to the governments in these countries. I think we've got to know more about them. They need to be more transparent. We need to have a lot more control over what they do and how they do it. I'd like to see the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund begin to impose these rules. And I want the United States Congress and the Federal Reserve Board to ask these tough questions. But let's look at how we got here. We got here because, as I said on Wall Street on December 5th, a lot of our big financial institutions, made these bets on these subprime mortgages. They helped to create this meltdown that is happening, that is costing millions of people who live in homes that are being foreclosed on or could be in the very near future because the interest rates are going up. And what they did was to take all these subprime mortgages and conventional mortgages, bundle them up, and sell them overseas to big investors. So we're getting the worst of both worlds.
Senator Edwards, I neglected to point out that one of the companies keeping these giant American banks afloat is Kuwait, a nation, an economy arguably afloat itself today, as you know, thanks to the blood, sweat, and tears of American soldiers. What would you do as a remedy?
Well, the things that Senator Clinton just spoke about are correct. We need more transparency. We need to know what's actually happening. But the fundamental problem is what's happening at the core of the American economy. What's happening to the economy in America, if you look at it from distance, is we have economic growth in America. We still do. But almost the entirety of that economic growth is with the very wealthiest Americans and the biggest multinational corporations. You ask any middle-class family in America, and they will tell you they do not feel financially secure. They're worried about their job. They're worried about paying for health care. They're worried about how they're going to send their kids to college. They're worried about, in many cases, here in Nevada particularly, worried about their home being foreclosed on. I spoke a few minutes ago about thousands of people coming to Nevada every day to try to find the promise of America, to try to find a good job, a good home, to meet the great moral test that all of us have as Americans, which is to make certain that our children have a better life than we have. This is the great challenge that we're facing in this election.
Oh, Senator Obama, a rebuttal.
Well, not a rebuttal. I just want to pick up on a couple of things that have been said. Number one, part of the reason that Kuwait and others are able to come in and purchase or at least bail out some of our financial institutions is because we don't have an energy policy. And we are sending close to $1 billion a day. And this administration has consistently failed to put forward a realistic plan that is going to reduce our dependence on foreign oil, is going to invest in solar and wind and biodiesel. You look at a state like Nevada, one thing I know is folks got a lot of sun here. And yet we have not seen any serious effort on the part of this administration to spur on the use of alternative fuels, raise fuel efficiency standards on cars. That would make a substantial difference in our balance of payments, and that would make a substantial difference in terms of their capacity to purchase our assets. And the second thing I just want to point out is that the subprime lending mess, part of the reason it happened was because we had an administration that does not believe in any kind of oversight. And we had the mortgage industry spending $185 million on lobbying to prevent provisions such as the ones that I've proposed over a year ago that would say, you know, you've got to disclose properly what kinds of loans you're giving to people on mortgages. You've got to disclose if you've got a teaser rate and suddenly their mortgage payments are going to jack up and they can't pay for them. And one of the things that I intend to do as President of the United States is restore a sense of accountability and regulatory oversight over the financial markets. We have the best financial markets in the world, but only if they are transparent and accountable and people trust them. And increasingly, we have not had those structures in place.
Thank you, Senators Obama, Clinton, and Edwards.